Hey, David Judge here, and today we're going to discuss what are the exact costs of a VA. Now we're talking about more than just an hourly rate you pay. We're also going to discuss what other costs are associated with a VA and whether or not you should actually have to pay for those costs. Now in this conversation, we're really going to talk about this as a sliding scale, as people think that the more that you actually pay, the better the person you'll get. And while this can certainly be the case, you need to ensure that you're ticking the boxes as to where that's actually money is going from and whether or not you're going to receive a return on investment with that money that you're investing. Now I'm going to explain exactly what this means as we go through. So let's go through and talk about the exact costs. Now in order for an outsourcer to work for you, they'll generally require three things. They're going to need a computer, internet, and power. Pretty obvious, yeah? And as long as your VA has these three items, they can perform the tasks for you. Now, what I've found over a period of time is in outsourcing is that if you want to attract good quality people, whilst you can actually employ a person that ticks those three boxes, you're going to need to supply other areas in order to get them and to keep them. Now, those three other areas are job security, working conditions, and personal development. Now, you'll notice that I said good quality people, yeah? Now, whilst you can strike it rich and get a good VA out of the blue, if you want to focus on the consistency of getting good quality people, then these are the three areas of fulfillment you're really going to need to cover. Now, I'm going to break these down. I'm going to explain to you why and how each fit into the overall puzzle, and finally how it impacts the exact cost of a VA. And one other shameless plug point that I want to mention is that when our clients work with us, we already cover all the costs calculated into those three areas of investment of employing their VA. So it's not extra. So let's move on. So number one, job security. Employing a person on an Odesk or the like is simply not enough if you want to sustain a VA on the medium to long term. Now this is sort of like employing a person full-time locally, where there are other areas that you need to cover in order to give them that security. Now these areas include the 13th month, which is 1 month of salary that you can actually pay your team. You pay your team member every year at the end of each year. 10 days of sick leave, where your team member is sick, they cover if they're sick. And 10 days of vacation. And again, as this sounds, this is basically annual leave. And benefits. This is like private health insurance, allowing your team member to have hospital cover. And you know what, this last one of the three of all the areas under job security, this last one carries a lot of weight. So those are the key areas around security, job security you should be covering with every team member. So moving on to number two, working conditions. Now, as I've said earlier, the minimum a VA needs to work for you is basically a computer, internet, and power. Now, while this is the bare minimum, if you want to achieve maximum results for your VA and ensure that they're not getting distracted, then you need to have more. more. Now, the average case scenario, notice I've just gone and said average case as opposed to best case, would be for you to have an office space with adequate lighting so they're not working in the dark, air conditioning, a desk, a chair, no sound distractions like soundproofing, and working within a team environment. Now, each of these areas allows your team member to feel valued, as you would expect, and I've noticed an actual huge difference in the level of performance of a person working within an office space under those conditions as opposed to working from their bedroom. Okay, last point number three, personal development. Now, personal development is very interesting because from the very early days in outsourcing, I actually thought how I could improve my outsourcer skill level as I understood that the more that they knew, the more that I could delegate. Now it turns out this actually had a flip side effect, and it actually meant that they felt happier in their role and they really wanted to be there as they knew that they were learning all these new tasks all the time. So it was like a win-win situation. Now once this actually dawned on me what I was doing, I realized that I needed to ensure every team member is cross-skilled and upskilled in different disciplines and skill sets. When I started rolling this out, it allowed me to identify particular tasks that particular VAs were really excelling at, which allowed me to start directing people towards the tasks that they enjoyed. Now the result, as I mentioned earlier, is a culture of personal development where a new team member that is added into my team, and when I ask them for feedback, they comment that it feels actually less like a job and more like they're constantly growing within a learning environment. Now this also extends beyond upskilling and work disciplines, and I've noticed a massive uptake when I entice team members with gym membership, and I'll tell you now, if you want a highly skilled local employee for life, all you have to do is simply look at this third point alone. Okay, so these are the three areas that you need to cover. And you need to calculate the exact cost above and beyond your hourly rate if you want to grow and sustain and have a really, really good quality team. Now, this is also why I'm constantly employing other people's VAs, like people that work on Odesk, because I know that they're actually going to be coming into a secure job, and this is why I'm able to provide clients with consistent results. That's it, that's the secret. Okay, awesome. Now the juicy subject, and let's wrap it up. In the next session, we're going to discuss how to integrate a VA into your team. Now, we actually employ VAs for clients that are looking to add additional levels of support to their team. So we'll cover off how that actually looks when we do that, and we'll give you a couple of key scenarios that you can use to get a good feel on how it actually may apply for you in your individual situation. Now, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer, you know what? I'd love to hear from you. So get in contact with me. And as always, this is David Judge, talking outsourcing and showing businesses how to work smarter.